you don't know, there's a term in NBA called fake contenders, right? Which are teams that on paper look amazing, should be able to compete against the best of the best teams, but in reality they aren't as good as they should be, and they fall short. And then I thought of bringing this term of fake contenders into football, talk about what are real contenders and what are the fake contenders of this year's Champions League. On the real contenders, I have Barcelona, Liverpool, Arsenal, PSG, and Bayern. Out of these 5 teams, I think there are 3 who are very obvious. They are real contenders: Barcelona, Liverpool, and PSG. Barcelona, obviously, one of the best teams in the world. They have some of the best players in the world as well. So, like Pedri has been having masterclass in Champions League, Frankie de Jong as well. They have Rafinha, Lamine Yamal. Obviously, they have been having some injuries as of late, and they kind of hurt them on the long run. But I think they got the depth necessary to kind of be able to mask those injuries and to be able to have a pretty good run in Champions League. Maybe even better than what they had last year. I think it was a quarterfinal, semi-final loss, something like that. Yeah, the semi-final loss against Inter Milan. So I think they have the potential to go to the final and even win it because they are tied with the team. Also, PSG makes absolute sense because they won Champions League last year. They added even more players to their team. I don't imagine how now they're gonna perform worse. I think they are obviously. I think for me, they're still continuing as the favorites to win it all, as the best team in the world. So it is no doubt certainty that they will be here. And then Liverpool, obviously, they didn't do that amazing last year in Champions League. They lose against PSG in the quarterfinals, well, obviously went on to win Champions League. Now they've added Isaac, Flying Verts. I think are players that, even though there are some questions about them right now, I think they're going to be amazing players. They're going to help contribute Liverpool to a lot of things. And I think for me, like the top 3 favorites on this competition are obviously Barcelona, Liverpool, and PSG. Then on that tier below, I think like Arsenal and Bayern are teams that could kind of make a run for it and still be favorite or contenders. Arsenal, a lot of people talk about Arsenal. I know this year isn't going, or maybe they were waiting to go so far. And but still, Arsenal's a team that won semi-finals last year, lost against PSG in semi-finals. They've added new players. I think they are a team that can sneakily make a run against semi-finals this year and potentially even make the finals if they're lucky to draw. I think City, a lot of people are going to underestimate this year, but they still have the quality. And we saw it from Champions League last year. They kind of when the moment arises, they kind of got up to the occasion and played pretty well. Declan Rice got 2 free kicks against Real Madrid last year. I think this team, if a lot of people probably would put them in the fake contenders tier, I think they are a very good team still. Obviously, again, Premier League is not going as well as they should have had. I think a lot of questions are now surrounding Mikel Arteta and his mentality to approach big games. And I mean, again, I still think of them as real contenders. Maybe a month from now, 2 months from now, maybe that perspective of mine kind of changes that. They also will apply to Bayern in a bit. But I think Arsenal right now are still real contenders. I think they have the quality. And we saw them against Man City last game. It's hard to play a bit more aggressive against Man City. So maybe we can see a bit more of the aggressive Arsenal team coming into the later rounds of the Champions League. They did win against Bilbao in the first game, which I have to admit was not an impressive display of football. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think they played that well against Bilbao. But again, like they have a lot of players. They suffered a lot of injuries as well so far. So I think is a recurrent issue. Like Saliba has been injured, Saka has been injured, Odegaard has been injured. I don't think they are very good with injuries. But if again it's latest into the end of March, April, that amongst the injuries are resolved and don't have any injuries, they are full strength. I can imagine Arsenal making a run to win it all. And then Bayern's the 5th team. I think Bayern really the team that I'm less confident of putting onto this tier. I actually kind of had them on the fake contenders list like a day ago. I kind of thought more about that team and I put them onto real contenders. But it's a team that, like, in the next 2 weeks, I could just end up putting them again on the fake contenders list because I don't think they are that good. Obviously, offensively, they have Harry Kane, who has been amazing. He's an amazing striker. They have Musiala, I think we're coming back like in the winter, I'm pretty sure. They also have Michael Ollis. Those 3 players are amazing except for the 3. Gnabry has been having a pretty good season as well. I think offensively, there are a lot of questions about how good they are. I think against Chelsea, I think we kind of saw that happen. They absolutely dismantled Chelsea. They played way better than Chelsea offensively. But I think their true weakness right now is defensively, right? I don't think they have the best defensive line. Alphonso Davies is injured. I don't know for how much time still. In center back, like I don't trust Upamecano. I don't really like Upamecano as the center back. Obviously, have Kim Shea. There's a Chantanta. But I think Chelsea also kind of brought them apart a bit defensively that maybe they should have had. And I think that's gonna why I'm so adamant on Bayern still being 50-50. So again, Bayern is of these 5 teams the most I'm less confident in of putting here. I can imagine them going to semi-finals. Also, can imagine them going away in round 16, or maybe not even qualifying straight to round 16 in Champions League and going to playoff spots like Man City, Real Madrid last year. I think like the ceiling and the floor for Bayern has a very considerable gap. All depends on company and how it does Champions League matches, and how the teams perform. Everyone's back. Now the defensive line perform when playing against these big teams who have a pretty good offensive line, and are also still solid defensively to kind of hold out on majority of the front line that Bayern has right now. Now going to the contenders, I have Real Madrid, Inter Milan, and Chelsea. I think the most kind of controversial one is Real Madrid, so I'm going to start with them. I think Real Madrid, they have a better team than last year, with Mbappe being god mode this season so far in the La Liga. But I don't really trust them to do so well against like Barcelona, Liverpool, Arsenal, PSG. The teams that are kind of tier above them, I don't know if Real Madrid will be able to perform against them. Xabi Alonso has brought Real Madrid by reformation. We see Mbappe again, as I said, Mbappe play very good. I think like even though they are good offensively, which I don't think they are super perfect offensively, I think Vinicius is not really at his biggest form. Mbappe is going to be carrying the whole offense in terms of that. I don't know when Bellingham is going to come back, and after Alonso incorporates Bellingham on the starting 11, if there'll be even more problem offensively in terms of who has the ball, who doesn't have the ball. I mean, today we have good players like Arda Güler and Masatunio have been players have been surprising me this year in terms of how good they've been. But I don't know, like defensively, I think there's still a lot of holes for them to be considered as real contenders. I don't think defensively they're going to be able to hold on against Barcelona. I don't see a defensive line. I think the only great player defensively on that team is in Hushen, right? Carvajal is getting old. I don't imagine them being able to defend Rafinha. I don't imagine obviously Trent going against Rafinha. I don't imagine like our Guerrero also going against Lamine Yamal. And then like center backs have been Hushen, and other than him, like Asensio's not good, Rodri is injured, Alaba's not good, like Militao's not really that great either. So I think there's a lot of focus defensively for that team. They're gonna block them from getting into like semi-finals and the final, which I don't think is to put a blame on Xabi Alonso at all. I think it's more the fault on the squad building around Real Madrid. I think I said this before the summer. I thought Real Madrid should bought in another defender other than along the Hushen. So bring in the Hushen as a back and bring in a new center back to the team, because I didn't think they have the depth necessary or the quality necessary to be having great defense just with the Hushen as a back. And from that, that's really the weak point of that team right now. And like last week, we saw them play in the 3-4-2 formation that they talk about, which was really good. They played really well against Levante, I'm pretty sure. The 1-4-1 on that formation. Like offensively, they were amazing on that formation. So Vini scored an assist, Mbappe scored 2 goals. But in the end, defensively, they conceded a lot of opportunities to Levante, which is a team that obviously offensively is not going to be great, and still Levante had a lot of opportunities against Real Madrid. So I can imagine if they actually do go with that formation going forward, I can imagine how well Barcelona or PSG or Liverpool will be able to get opportunities against them, because like they had a back three of Alcaceres, Hushen, and Carlos Asensio. First off, I think in transition, a lot of teams are going to be able to exploit that, because Hushen is a guy that likes to also go forward a little bit more. Alcaceres also be a guy that also likes to move forward. I don't think that in transition to be able to defend great, and even when I think off the ball to go back to back forward, but still there, I don't imagine how this team be able to defend against Barcelona and PSG. I think really that's most of my problems with this team resides right now. Then Inter Milan must be a controversial one, because they just got Champions League final. They lost Champions League final against PSG last year. But again, I don't think they have that good of a team. They lost Simone Inzaghi as their manager. I think Inzaghi was really the key piece to all of this. Looking at that team and looking on paper at that team, it's not even good enough. I think it's a lot of tiers above, a lot of tiers below what Barca and Liverpool is, because like think about really the great players they have right now on their team is Bastoni, Barella, and Martinez. Those 3 players are great. I won't say they are world class right now. Maybe Bastoni is the one that kind of puts into contention to be world class. I don't think other 2 are world class. On paper, that team cannot compete against the better teams, right? And obviously, without Inzaghi right now, as a manager, kind of got his team playing so well together and got to the Champions League final and whatever, I can imagine Inter Milan doing that well. I actually imagine Inter Milan being the flop, the disappointment of these tournaments. I can totally see them. I don't know what the draw is. I don't know if they have an easy draw, a difficult draw. I can truly imagine Inter Milan not even qualifying for the playoffs, right? This is a team that could do that. In Serie A, I don't know what the result was. I think they actually won this past weekend. But the loss against Udinese already, the loss against Juventus, they are not in a great position in terms of league position, in terms of playing well in Serie A. So I can't really imagine Inter Milan being a great team if he's here in Champions League. And then finally, Chelsea. I don't mind Chelsea, right? I've always been against their policy of transfers and trying to bring in as much wannakes as they can to bring into the team. I don't think that after so much money spent and after a lot of years of developing this project and whatever, I don't think they've got a team good enough to be able to compete against the top teams in Europe. Also saw them win the World Cup last year, which is great. I don't think that shows really a lot of Chelsea. And I think this year, like, I looked at their team, especially defensively, again, defensively is a big point nowadays. Like, the teams here are going to be great, are great defensively. And I think Chelsea is as that. I think in terms of defensive players, they are very lacking comparing to the players they have offensively. And I don't know if I truly trust Enzo Maresca to be the great manager to put them into the contenders list, because we saw against Man United how you handle a red card early on. I think that might be one of the worst approaches I've ever seen from a manager to a red card with the goalkeeper. So I don't know when the pressure comes, will Chelsea be able to tweak those things in game, be able to turn around the games? I don't know. I don't really trust Chelsea. I mean, they have good talent offensively. I think they have Cole Palmer, Sean Pedro are very good players offensively. I don't think the rest of the team in terms of offensively are that good. Pedro Neto is a good enough winger. I don't think it's that good. We haven't seen enough of Estefan or Pina Gittens and whatever. I think midfield probably the best. I think Cancelo has been amazing. Cancelo is an amazing player. Also, Enzo Fernandez is a player that's not been that great this year and started very poorly. And also at the back as well, also lost Levi Cowell to I think a whole year. I think that's the biggest blow you could have in the Chelsea team. Then now we have Adebayo, Shalva. Those are not Champions League winners like centre backs, right? And I think the against Bayern showed a lot of what Chelsea's weaknesses are and what Chelsea probably have to suffer to play against the big teams, and why a reason as to why I don't think Chelsea will be able to compete against the top teams.